Bullying. It's not only totally unacceptable behaviour in today's society, it's also illegal. We all have the right to work in an environment free from bullying, harassment, discrimination and violence. Everyone in the workplace should be treated with respect, no matter their age, sex, colour or creed. It's therefore important that each of us develop an awareness about the impact of our behaviour on others. Here are some workplace scenarios. Have a think about whether or not the 3 people you're about to see are possible victims of bullying, sexual harassment or discrimination. First is Christy Spencer. Christy has worked in accounts for online programs for 3 years. She reports to the office manager, Terry Manners. Ever since she rejected his advances, Terry seems to pick fault in everything Christy does. He constantly allocates her the most mundane tasks, as well as setting near impossible deadlines. She's just heard she has missed out on a promotion she was sure she was in line for, and subsequently, although she loves the company and the people, Christy is starting to feel there is no alternative but for her to hand in her notice. Corey Thomas has been a trusted employee at a local golf course for 26 months. He's hardly ever sick, he's an honest toiler, and he's great to have around the workplace. Due to a prior commitment, Corey was unable to come in on his day off to help with the heavy workload.
It was crazy. I mean, I've always got on really well with everyone I've worked with. But it all started the week leading up to the Pro-Am the golf club was holding back in March that year. Everyone worked on that RDO that week, but I'd pre-organised to take my old mum to visit her dying brother in Shepparton. I made a dozen or so phone calls to see if I could get someone else to do it, but there was no way. The boss asked me to work on my RDO, and once I explained why I couldn't, he was fine. Everyone was fine. Except Carl. He told me I was slack and selfish and how I'd let the team down. He went out of his way to find fault with everything I did after that. It just seemed I couldn't do anything right. Tried ignoring it, but the verbal abuse, it was constant. And then it went from verbal to physical. He even chucked sand in my face. I reported him to the boss. Yeah, he told me that Carl was a really good bloke and probably didn't mean anything by it. I should toughen up. The whole situation stressed me out big time. I've never suffered with blood pressure, but it went through the roof. I couldn't sleep. The thought of going to work made me physically sick until I couldn't take it anymore. I left. So I guess Carl won. That was 2 years ago. I haven't worked since. I get panic attacks now whenever I'm in a new situation or find myself in a crowd. I still get constant migraines, stomach cramps. There's been a couple of job interviews where I got so nervous I couldn't even speak. It's not fair.
Jess Davies also works with Terry Manners and has just come out of a performance appraisal with him. Terry, who Jess finds quite demanding and impatient, has fed back to her for the second time that he's not happy with her lack of punctuality. He suggested that her constant lateness is starting to annoy and distract other members of the team. She believes that she's not late that often. Terry also mentioned that her inability to complete tasks on time is becoming an issue, and it's putting pressure on the rest of the workplace. This is the second time he has given her an unfavourable appraisal. Jess feels picked on and is quite upset as she doesn't believe any of it to be true. She's now seriously considering reporting Terry to upper management for bullying. Bullying, harassment and/or discrimination is when a person or group of people repeatedly behave unreasonably towards an individual or individuals, and their behaviour creates a risk to the mental or physical health and safety of the victim or victims. There are keywords in this description that bear highlighting. When the behaviour is repeated, a one-off incident should not necessarily be constructed as bullying. When it is unreasonable. Unreasonable behaviour can come in many shapes and sizes. It can humiliate, things like malicious teasing, being singled out to be that constant brunt of pranks or practical jokes, constantly being belittled or being made to feel awkward. It can be blatant, things like being yelled or screamed at, being subjected to angry outbursts, abusive comments. It can be subtle, things like impossible deadlines, unreasonable work demands or pressures, being ordered to do work below your competence, if you are prevented access to development or career opportunities, or leave being blocked and/or training rescinded. It can be devious and include social isolation, information deliberately being withheld, your work sabotaged, your personal effects or work equipment being constantly tampered with. It can happen in person or remotely. All of this can create a risk to the health and safety of an individual or individuals. It's important to recognise that sometimes there can be a fine line between strong management and bullying. Providing guidance, constructive and objective comments, conducting performance counselling, invoking unsatisfactory performance procedures or misconduct procedures does not in itself constitute bullying, harassment and/or discrimination. If you're not sure, you should use the reasonable person test. Would most reasonable people consider the actions unacceptable? Armed with this knowledge, which of our three characters do you think have or haven't been bullied? It's a well-known fact that bullying, harassment and/or discrimination in the workplace is extremely debilitating, as victims can be subjected to stress, anxiety, panic attacks, sleeping problems and higher blood pressure. This can then cause the victim to be less productive, have trouble making decisions, have a reduced capacity to concentrate, and lose self-esteem. They can become less focused on work and more focused on avoiding the bully, trying to defend themselves, networking for support, planning how to deal with the situation. It's not uncommon for an eyewitness to also experience feelings of embarrassment and disempowerment and fear that they may be next. All organisations must put effective systems in place to eliminate the possibility of bullying, harassment and/or discrimination in their workplace. There are substantial fines and jail times for bullies nowadays, and fines for the organisation in the millions of dollars, and it's very much a domino effect. There is a huge unnecessary distraction that legal proceedings can place on management and staff alike. This can cause a decrease in staff morale, which can result in absenteeism, increased stress, decrease in productivity, the possible loss of staff and expertise, recruitment and replacement costs, increased costs for employee assistance programs or EAPs, possible increase in casual staff use, the time required to address and resolve issues, reduced corporate image and customer confidence, and poorer customer service. Bullying, harassment and/or discrimination tends to happen where people who could stop it are unaware that it's happening. Bullies are often more powerful than their targets in that they may be physically larger or stronger, in a superior position. For example, they are able to fire or reprimand the victim, and they are often more articulate. Bullies will often direct or implied threats of retaliation if the target seeks help. They are often supported in their behaviour by others or by organisational culture and will rationalise or imply that the target brought the situation upon themselves in some way. Some bullies are unaware of their behaviour and its impact, Others are aware of their behaviour but excuse it as just their style. There are certain steps that you can take that we believe are quite effective if you are being bullied. Firstly, speak up. Saying nothing can infer that you accept the bully's behaviour. So speak up and report the misconduct to the appropriate officer or manager. Change your usual response. Try smiling and thanking the bully and walking away without eye contact. This can be quite disarming to a bully. Use standing up for yourself body language. Try things like straight posture, firm but not staring eye contact, firm but not aggressive tone of voice. Remember that learned helplessness fuels bullies, so ask them firmly to stop. Use the broken record approach and repeat the request strongly. If you're in a group, ignore what the bully says and talk to someone else nearby. Stay positive. You will very likely feel shame, powerlessness, guilt and fear. Know that these are normal reactions and use positive self-talk. We all know that bullying, harassment and/or discrimination is wrong, and it is usually the bully who has the problem, which he or she is projecting on you. It's not your fault, and it will not continue forever, but you need to tell them that you will report it if it does continue. Keep a factual journal or diary of daily events. Record the time, place, date, names of witnesses, and what happened in as much detail as possible. 9 times out of 10, the bully will deny everything, so keep pertinent copies of any letters, memos, emails, text messages, etc. Remember, it's not just the incident itself that is important, but rather the number, frequency, and especially the pattern that can reveal whether bullying or harassment has taken place or not. Do not retaliate. You may end up looking like the perpetrator and will most certainly cause confusion for those responsible for evaluating and responding to the situation. If you're a fellow worker or an eyewitness, accept that targets don't deserve what is happening to them, and remember that saying and doing nothing, you're actually offering support to the bully. It takes a really special person to confront a bully. So be that special person. Inform the perpetrator that their behaviours is making you and others uncomfortable, and if they don't stop it, you will report it. If that doesn't work, remember that some bullies enjoy an audience. They believe that an audience confirms their perception of people seeing them as strong and tough. So leave and inform them that you don't want to watch or take part in what's happening. Take the target with you. You may want to try appealing to the good nature of the bully. Remind them that they're not always like this, and that you remember when they were very supportive of people like their victim. Report bullying, harassment and/or discrimination to the person identified in your workplace policy, an appropriate officer or delegated manager. There are a number of reasons that bullying, harassment and/or discrimination is not always reported. These can include fear of retribution from the perpetrator or offender, belief that you may be seen as weak or a whinger, and that reporting might affect future prospects in the organisation. Others believe that the perpetrator's behaviour is unintentional and therefore doesn't deserve reprimanding. Some people simply believe that bullying is a part of the job. Let us assure you it's not. Bullying, harassment and/or discrimination will not be tolerated at all in our workplace, and we encourage you to direct any concerns you may have to your manager, HR or upper management. If you feel all avenues of complaint have been completed and bullying is still taking place, be aware that new laws were introduced in January 2014 that allow any worker, which includes employees, contractors, subcontractors, outworkers, apprentices, trainees and students gaining work experience, as well as volunteers, to lodge an application directly with the Fair Work Commission. This is a no-cost service. The Fair Work Commission is then obliged to act on the application within 14 days and has the power to issue an order to the alleged bully or bullies to stop the disputed behaviour. If that order is not complied with, you can then apply to the federal court to enforce the order. If it is deemed that there is an actual case of ongoing bullying, the federal court can impose fines on both the bully and the organisation. Managers and directors could also be penalised. If you are the bully, be aware that there may be legal consequences from your behaviour. Remember that bullying or harassment is as perceived by the target. Ask for feedback from people who know you well, and remember that you're entitled to as much support as the target. No matter who you are, you have a responsibility to ensure that your actions do not negatively affect another staff member's career, health, or well-being. If you are the victim, or you witness bullying, harassment, and/or discrimination taking place, act immediately to eradicate it, because as we said at the start of this video, bullying or any form of harassment is totally unacceptable behaviour.